Hey everybody, welcome to the Run Line Report. Today's guest, you know him well as the voice of bodybuilding. Please welcome Bob Cicherillo. What's up, Bob?
Yep. Yo, what's up, Ron?
Yeah, thank you for doing this. I know you're off. You're out of town like every weekend, right? Pretty much.
Well, I got a big one coming up tomorrow. So tomorrow I'm off to Italy for Panada. So I'll be there at the home office in Apiro, Italy, with Rudy Panada, Eduardo, the entire family, and all that. Then we are off to Australia for some business over there, and then right from there to Turkey. Big expo in Turkey coming up. For anybody who wants info on all these, they'll all be on my IG. Then it's back to America. I got about 5 days, and then the Olympia. We got a big show called the Olympia coming up, bro. I think I'm still working there.
Yeah, that was I'm going to get right to it. You know, there was an outcry of, I don't know how many signatures the petition got. Was it 1 million, 5 million? How many?
Well, yeah, they were all by the same guy, though. Yeah.
So there was a petition trying to get you ousted as the MC of the Olympia. They felt, it's inappropriate for this guy to be doing these podcasts and critiquing bodybuilders in what they felt was a disrespectful way or a mean way. Sure. And then he gets up on stage and he's going to announce them coming out. How would you feel if Bob announced you, and this is a guy that said you're going to get 8th place? I mean, Nick Walker took it in stride. He made shirts, said, "Who the fuck is Bob?"
Sure.
Probably sold 1 million of them. But so that's my first question, Bob. Have you heard anything from Dan or Jake to indicate that your position as MC for the past 20 years plus as Mr. Olympia is in jeopardy?
No, not at all. If anything, it's probably solidified my place even more, because this is coming from people like Mr. Potato Head and his merry cast of misfits over there that nobody cares what any of them think. You can put all the petitions you want. First of all, and Ron, you and I go back long enough to know that this isn't anything new. I have been doing what I'm doing, and including emceeing the Olympia, this will be my 20th year on the Olympia stage. Before that, even I go to other shows, but let's just stick with the 20-year deal. Me and Dan Solomon, as you know, were doing PBW before anybody did it. We were the innovators. We were the ones breaking that ground. And
let me tell people that was the first bodybuilding podcast. It was called Pro Bodybuilding Weekly. So all of us who have podcasts, they were the first one. Go ahead.
That's correct, sir. And we did it better than anybody. For 10 years, we ruled, with commentary, with critique, with breaking down competitions. We also, at the same time, used to do the play-by-play at the Arnold, with Arnold, for many years at the Arnold. Then I finally got the microphone for the Olympia. So for the past 20 years, I've been doing the Olympia. In the entire 20-year history, also writing, as you wrote many years for MD, I wrote for Flex Magazine, MD, other magazines that we had going on at the time. So this isn't anything new. We have been doing critique in predictions and different things like that for 20 years. It's never been an issue until now. So I ask you, has the game changed or have the people changed? I think, as we've talked about in many discussions, privately and openly on podcasts, it's what we call the pussification of the bodybuilding world, bro. People can't take critique. They get offended. And the funny thing is I haven't even heard anything from the athletes. It's all people like Mr. Potato Head and some of the rest of these fools. I actually saw he had a guy named Abbas Katami, and what dustbin he got this loser out of is beyond me. I barely even know the guy, and he's on there ripping me to shreds about it's inappropriate. And how would you like it? How would you like it? Do you think an Olympian on stage gives a crap? Well, number one, who's announcing them? And two, what I might have predicted them to place or had some critique on? If that's where your mindset is at as an Olympian, then you're in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Yeah, I mean, so just to put it in perspective, the Olympia has been around for 60 years. There's been 60 of them. So you've been the MC for 1/3 of the entire existence of the Mr. Olympia contest. Clearly, if they didn't like what you did as an MC, they would have replaced you long. They had many opportunities.
And Ron, to your point, 3 administrations. I started with Weeder, that entire, the originator. Then went to AMI with Robin Chang, and now with Jake Wood and his crew. And there's only a few of us that have been around that long. Martine, who's actually the guy that actually does all the production at the shows. He's been around as long as I have. Dan was in the mix for most of that time. And then there's me, and I've withstood all. Obviously, if they didn't like what I did, they certainly wouldn't have me back. But I don't honestly see it as any type of a conflict. And the funny thing is one of them, I think it was Abbas. This again, I don't know where Mr. Potato Head comes up with these guys, but he says, "Oh, well, Lonnie Teeper never did that. Lonnie Teeper never did it. He was the best, and he just did this and he did that. How would you feel?" And that whole thing, except for one problem, Ron, and you'll remember this, being the historian that you are. It was a famous Lonnie Teeper comment that Jay Cutler, when he turned pro, was just quote, and I quote, "Another blocky white guy who will never do anything as a pro," unquote. And then he proceeded to announce him at the Ironman Championships, which Lonnie hosted, and the Arnold. So again, I could just blast these people with example after example, but what does make it? And if you're doing predictions, because that was the other half of what he said. Well, he used to do the Swami. He used to do predictions. It's like that was all innocent, except for one thing. If you're doing predictions, aren't you predicting some people to lose?
Yes.
Right? So why is that okay? But me predicting somebody or having my 2 cents on is a conflict of interest? How does it stop me from doing my job on stage? Again, which I've done for many years. And by the way, go ask all these athletes, to all the doubters out there, what they feel about how I announce them on stage or how I've taken care of them. Go ask Dennis James, who I got out to a standing ovation in front of 10,000 people, or a Jose Raymond, or announcing C-Bum, who put a nice message out to me after his victory, saying, your voice was in my head for this entire prep. I would dream about your voice announcing me as the winner. That's what that means to these people. You think true Olympians do not think about who picked them to place where and all that stuff. It just doesn't happen.
Yeah, I mean, I won't name names, but there's a few people. Just because I didn't predict them to win a specific contest, they never interviewed with me again. They were so irate.
Wow.
And they would, in one case, the guy did win, and he gave me one message, and then he blocked me. He said, "Ha, what do you got to say now?" And I'm like, "I'm happy." I said, "Congratulations," and that was it. He blocked me. That was it.
Listen, I mean, and again, just to further on the point, because again, one of them over there, as they like to oppose me, "Oh, well, how do you think Nick would feel?" It's like, well, I don't know. Why don't you go ask Nick? I just announced him at the Pittsburgh show. It didn't seem to bother him. He didn't not come out when I called him. I actually gave him a fist bump when he was coming off the stage after Derek was declared the winner. I don't know. He seemed pretty good. But and listen, if Nick were to win this Olympia, great. I'm going to give him the same over-the-top great intro that anybody I would give as the winner, or wherever he might place or not place. And that's kind of it. You think at that point he's going to be caring? Actually, it would be a nice feather in his cap, right? I mean, so great. But this is all part of the game. This is exactly why bodybuilding is still where it's at, is because this attitude. I mean, bro, can you imagine people getting on, Troy Aikman, for getting on some football player? Hey, this guy hasn't had the best season, or, geez, he's really got up his game. He's missed his last 3 field goals, and then he's got to announce him in the Super Bowl. I mean, imagine how that player would feel, Ron, right?
Yeah. I mean, I'm not a big sports fan, but they call the plays and the players exactly how to see. If a guy's having a bad game, he's not performing, they'll say it right then and there. They don't have to sugarcoat. Why do we have to? So I guess a lot of people in the comments are saying it's not so much what you say, Bob. They don't like your delivery. They think it's like your delivery. It's your, but you got to know Bob. I've known Bob. I've known you for like 35 years, and you have that really dry, sarcastic sense of humor.
Yeah, a little bit.
If you're not really used to it, you could take it the wrong way. So I understand. But quick question: have you spoken to Nick Walker like in the past year since you made these comments that supposedly everyone's
well, the funny thing was at the height of this whole thing, like when he made his comments. So I was asked the question, how it all started was I was asked the question by Jay Cutler on his Cutler cast, if I thought Nick Walker could win the Olympia. I said, no. That's just my opinion. I don't think that physique. I said, there'll always be some guys in front. He's put together a little blocky. I said, he's built more like an H than a V taper, obviously being a little bit tongue in cheek there, but that's his physique. Okay. And it's like, no, that's my opinion no, I don't believe he could win. Well, of course, that starts making the waves. By the way, forget any of the compliments I've given any of these guys, be it Nick, Regan. I gave compliments to Phil Clahar last year but nobody ever says anything about any of the compliments. They only focus because compliments aren't going to get headlines. So anyway, fast forward, somebody asked Nick in response, so, hey, what'd you think about Bob? And he says, well, who the F is Bob, right? And again, being facetious on his, great, listen, I'm all for it. The funny part was, and then he had some shirts made.
Yep.
I texted Nick, I'm like, hey, man, I appreciate, hey, you got that in a 2X? And he's like, yeah, sure. So we're texting back and forth. He took it all in stride. Like I said, he didn't take it personally, but everybody else did. That was the funny part to it.
Did he send you the shirt?
No, I never did get a shirt, but you know what I was thinking of is I was a smart guy, but in case the planets did align, and let's just say Nick did win the Olympias, I should have a shirt like underneath my suit that I can bust open with, I love Nick, or some kind of thing would be hilarious. But it's like I say, it's a sign of the times, Ron. Unfortunately, society as a whole, as we're seeing, it's just they can't take critique. They can't take somebody. And again, Regan Grimes, like we were talking about Regan. And I made probably 5-6 count. I love Regan Grimes' physique. I've said that 1,000 times. Great physique, great structure, put together, good, a good looking guy. Could be a future Olympian. I said all those things. You never heard one person repeat it. All you heard me say was, I don't think that the physique he's presented so far is top 6 material.
Yeah. And
that if that's the best he can bring, then he's probably going to be fighting for 10th to 12th, somewhere in that range. And then people went ballistic. Oh, who are you to tell Regan? Again, never even mentioned the compliments. They just went right to that one thing. And then the funniest part was Regan kind of responded on one of the topics, one of the things, IGs or whatever. And he said something about, he wasn't being like nasty or anything. I've actually got a good relationship with Regan, but he said something about, well, anytime you qualify for the Olympia, you absolutely need to go. Like you without question, period. Except for one thing. I do my homework. Regan, just a couple of years ago, did qualify for the Olympia, was working with Milos, and then pulled out about 6 weeks out, saying that they just didn't feel like his physique was ready. And so it's like, well, that's exactly what I just said.
Yeah, you can say, I think we just tend as humans in general to focus on the negative. I've noticed you could say 500 great things about an athlete. The one time you're critical, that's what everyone will hone in on.
Oh, yeah.
Sean, what a bum. Yeah, so I just lost a subscriber. Doggone it. Because I had you on. You know what, guys? I would have anyone on this channel. Anyone that's newsworthy, and Bob is certainly, this has been in the news. Yeah, I'll interview whoever the hell I want to interview on my channel. And if you don't like the person, you don't have to watch the video. Oh my God.
The funny thing is that they are watching the video. So
well, he's apparently all done, but oh well.
Sure they are.
Yeah. So someone wanted you to explain, because I think it was a big misunderstanding with the Arnold people, what happened, where let me try to get back to it. Jeez, he's coming.
Okay, sure.
Time
easily explained.
Yeah, I'm sure it is. This was from Drew. Several cons. God, it's way back there.
That's so okay. I can generalize. I can tell everybody exactly what happened with the Arnold people.
Yeah, go ahead while I try to find it anyway.
We have a difference of opinion. Listen, obviously, I've been doing this many, many years at the highest level. I've worked with Arnold for many years. Jim Lorimer, God bless him, used to bring me in just to do the Sunday seminar, which we turned into a very big success over the years. And finally got an opportunity to host it. And I'm like, great. So I did it for a few years. Well, not this year, but last year, they got a new administration over there, and they're very unprepared. The production was not up to par, up to snuff. Things weren't being done in advance. They weren't, set. I don't have a set. There is no teleprompter, just to let everybody know. Okay, not at the Olympia, not at the Arnold, not at nothing. I'm on my own pretty much. I have basically a bullet point list of a general running of the show. That's it. I have to fill in every other blank with everything. We can get into that stuff later, especially at the Olympia as it's coming up. But there was things that were put together, and I'll just give you one specific. During the show, they wanted to go to a commercial break, but they weren't going to show it on the screen there in attendance at the show, at live.
Okay.
So I said, okay, well, how long's the commercial? They said, the commercial's a minute. Okay, so well, then obviously I'll fill in, which I do at the Olympia as well. Then they said, okay, then you're coming back to me. They says, no, then we're going to go to the back where Fuad, whoever was doing the commentary, and was doing commentary. So they're going to go from the commercial right to that. I says, okay, you're going to show that on the big screen. They says, no. I said, well, how long are we going to them for? About 2-3 minutes. Said, whoa, wait a minute here. I know a little bit about production. So you're going to go to a minute commercial that they're not showing on the screen. Then they're going to go to the backstage, show them for 2. That's about 4 minutes. What am I doing during this time? Well, nothing. I says, do you have any idea? Now, this is their inability because they've had, in the 3 years I've done it, they've had 3 different sets of production people on it. So everybody's new every year, which is part of the problem. I said, do you have any idea how long the dead time 4 minutes on stage is when you have a live audience? And kind of fell on deaf ears. So sure enough, we go to the first. I says, look, it's your production. I'm here to do the best I can and to help. We went to that first round, and there was nothing going on stage, 0. And it's dragging. And I look down, and Arnold's right in front of me. He's right in the front row. And I see, the producer go over to Arnold. I can read Arnold's lips. He's going, what the hell's going on? Why is there nothing going on? And they're kind of going back and forth. Well, the producer guy basically throws me under the bus, like this was my fault. And I says, hey, I don't have anything to do with your production. I told you this was going to happen. I told you it was going to be a mess, and you didn't want to listen. But, we had some choice words, and I told them, look, I was already committed to doing the Arnold UK, which was like a week later or 2. I served out my time, and I told them, I think you need to find somebody else. I'm not lending my name, which the UK was a disaster as well, production-wise. But I said, look, I'm not going to work like this, okay? I'm not going to lend my name to it. I've got a reputation as well, and I've been doing the Olympia for 20 years. So I wish you the best, and that was the end of it. It's that simple.
Fair enough. Now, one thing I want to note is the MC, it's an important job, but I don't think anyone goes to the Olympia or doesn't go to the Olympia based on who's the MC going to be this year. So when they say, oh, we're going to boycott the Olympia if Bob's, you're not going to go to the Olympia and see Samson, Hadi, Nick Walker, Andrew Jack, Martin Fitzwater, Derek Lunsford, the classic guy, you're not going to see any of them because you're mad that Bob's the MC. No one's going to do that. Come on.
Well, again, 2 different things, though. They're 2 different animals, and that's why I can't express people enough. What I say on my podcast, your podcast, in print or whatever, predictions, my opinion on things. Again, I'm an analyst. We've been doing this for over 20 years, okay? Nothing different than we've always done. It's got nothing to do when I step on stage. I'm a professional. I don't care whether I like somebody or hate their guts. They're still going to get the same intro. They're still going to get treated like a professional. Nobody's ever accused me of not being professional on stage. I've never heard that one. So, but what's funny, Ron, is you got to keep things in context because, the unsilent minority is the ones who go on these podcasts and they say stuff and they, I hate Bob or I don't like this or I don't like that or whatever. But the overwhelming silent majority who just look at this stuff as, interesting when they're on the toilet. They don't listen. They're not going to get involved. They don't care. But here's what's nice is like when I go out of the country, go to different events. There's hundreds, if not thousands, of people who come up. Thousands overseas. I go to the Turkey Expo, Australia, Rimini, Italy, FIBO, Germany, which, as you know, I'm bigger than Hasselhoff in Germany. Bro, they were coming up, and I have a line a mile long. I'm not even exaggerating. I tell you what, we'll put footage up at these things of fans, and they come up from all over the world. And oh man, I hear your voice in the gym, and they're very complimentary. Hey, can we get a picture? Can you autograph it? They come up with pictures. Those are the real fans that are out there, not the basement dwellers and the idiots on Egghead's podcast that come on there. Again, the aisle of misfit toys. What's funny is they're all in the same category. Matt, who boasts as himself as a 2-time Mr. Canada. Well, it took 5 seconds of research to see he's a no-time Mr. Canada. Even that's a lie. If anybody should be apologizing, it should be him to the guys who won the overalls. He's not Mr. anything. He won his class 2 times at something. That doesn't give you a Mr. title. somebody beat you for the overall title. And you know me, Ron, I'm a stickler when it comes to titles. I don't want to see men's physique guys calling himself Mr. Olympia. He's not. But, and then you've got, Phil, again, enough talked about him, but, a poor sport and a loser who can't take critique, was a poor sport, walked off the stage basically, and now has quit, the federation. Well, good. And that's why I told him to retire, by the way, for everybody. Oh, he's telling athletes to retire. No, I'm not. I told Phil Clahar to retire. You know why? Because he doesn't have the mental acuity to be in this game and be judged. Clearly, he's got a problem with the judging, which brings up the next point, Ron. I'm just rambling here, but why are they on my ass? Like, if your problem was that you thought Steve did a horrible job and Sandy, our two top Olympia judges, or that there's a conspiracy that somebody called, don't forget, Ron, the bat phone to the Jim Mannion, and they called and they had him switch it and all that stuff. Where's your petition to get rid of Steve and Sandy? Where's your petition to get rid of Jim Mannion or Tyler Mannion or boycott the IFBB Pro League? What, you want me removed as the MC? Like I voted, or why you're going after the wrong people?
Yeah, well, someone wanted to know what actually they're asking about Earth. So we'll get that out of the way because I was going to ask about that eventually. So
yes,
we have a new qualified. You only say new if they win. It's not just being in the show, but were you at that show or no?
Which one? Italy?
Italy, yeah.
No, but I will say, this is very provable. I am the only podcaster, Ron, the only expert that picked Urs to win this show. I take great pride in it.
Wow. Okay. So, but you'll get no credit for that.
No, I get no credit for that. But listen, this was an easy call, and actually, there's footage. I believe Tarek has footage that he's put up on the Olympia TV of us at the New York Pro, not this year, but last year, where we're all backstage, me, Chris Cormier, Tarek, and Urs, and I'm telling him to go into the open. I'm telling him, like, Urs, you need to switch over, man. You've got all the attributes, you got the size, you got the shape, and he's kind of nodding like, yeah, okay, but yeah, listen, you could see this coming a mile away. This kid's got tremendous potential, great bodybuilder, and this was a great move.
Yeah, I mean, I called this the best surprise of the 2025 season because when I heard he was going to be 30 pounds heavier, I said, oh no.
Yeah.
A, I thought he was miscalculating. There's no way he was going to be 260 on that stage. B, I said, if he is 260, he can't be in condition at that weight. But
he's in condition. He's
phenomenal.
Tremendous job, great move. You're going to see a few other athletes. And, this brings up another great subject that we can, delve into a little bit. But for some odd reason, and I've actually heard this on other people's podcasts, some people very prominent in the industry saying, well, a lot of the best bodybuilders are in other categories and, they're not in the open, they're in other categories. Yeah, listen, people, you know what that means? That means the system that we designed is working. We don't lock the doors from the outside. These athletes can come in and move to any division they want after they're already in, i.e., Logan Franklin started as a men's physique competitor. Now, a champion and knocking on the door of his first Olympia win. He'll certainly be in contention. Keon Pearson is going to move up. Sean Clarita has gone into open shows, has done well. Derek Lunsford, Hadi Chupan, we're both 212 guys who have moved over. To all these cries I've heard, Lee Priest and other people, we don't need these divisions. They just need to get rid of these divisions. What's the point of it? There's a very good point of it. First of all, not everybody, all right, has the ability to move up to the open. Okay? They just don't. Some guys in the 212, they'll never have that kind of a physique that they'll be able to. Keon does, but he's an exception to the rule. All these guys are exceptions to the rule. But go ask Flex Lewis how important the 212 was, or Guy Cisternino, or Jose Raymond, who wouldn't even turn pro. As you well know, this guy could have turned pro 100 times in the NPC, our most celebrated amateur of all time, but there was nowhere to go for him until we created the 212 division. But this is a starting point that you can move in and move up. If you go to Classic, which is bodybuilding, everybody, don't get it confused. They make it sound like this was some big shift, seismic shift in the thing. These are bodybuilders, and there's some damn good bodybuilders in there. When they feel like they're ready, or they wish to go in the open, go. But the idea that we don't need other divisions or classes or opportunity is, there's people that wouldn't even have had a career if they didn't have an opportunity to be a champion in a different category. So keep it in context, people. Okay, just keep it in context. No, we do need other divisions. It's good for the growth of the sport, and it allows more opportunity, and it allows for growth within the sport.
I wanted to address this real quick. Hadi got his visa. I heard that yesterday.
Oh,
so don't worry about Hadi. He's here.
I hope Beirus is right behind him, bro. God willing.
Yeah. What else we said?
Because that's a big difference in that lineup. If Hadi and Beirus are there, that's two of your guys in your top five.
Well, Hadi, obviously. Beirus, I don't know. I've heard no one seems to be able to clarify this. I've heard that he was in the Iranian military, and that's why he's most likely not going to get a visa, because that's, a country we're not on good terms with, and he was in their military.
Hypothetically, if he can get her, and again, we've all speculated because he hasn't gotten here the last 2 years, which is a tragedy, but if he can get, most people aren't familiar, like, oh, Beirus, why would you have Beirus in the top five, and all that? I'll tell you why. Because me and a whole bunch of other people that have seen Beirus in person, and I've seen him for the last 3 years, winning the Dubai Pro and selected shows overseas, know that he's a tremendous bodybuilder. He's a threat. He's bigger than you think he is. He's put together very well, and he's very consistent with his conditioning. But would he be a threat to the top five? Absolutely, and without question. But most people just aren't familiar with him, Ron.
No, I agree. I mean, because he's never got into the USA to compete where we can see him. He's won many. I think he's got 6 or 8 wins overseas already.
He's a great bodybuilder. Like I say, it's only, now there's politics. We talk politics, people. That's real politics. It's not the bullshit that you hear from these other idiots like Mr. Potato Head on there crying conspiracy every time somebody doesn't win. And it's like, and the funny part was, Ron, I don't know if I didn't send you this, remind me to. I stumbled on a piece of video footage from when Phil Clahar won the Orlando Pro. Okay.
Yeah.
And it's your buddy Giles who's interviewing him.
Yeah.
And Giles says, so Phil, you won, how's it feel? And he's like, wow, it hasn't even sunk in yet. Now, they're doing the usual dance. And then he says, well, after prejudging, you were behind. You're going to love this. So you were behind after prejudging. So you had to catch up, but it was only a few hours before the finals was coming up. And somehow you were able to put it together, and you came back and you beat Hassan. You won. And Phil goes on to explain what he did. I ate this, I did that. And I was like, geez, you know what? That sounds really familiar, doesn't it?
Yeah, I don't want to keep dragging that up.
But just to clarify, okay, it's interesting when it's on that side. It's okay. When you're on the receiving end, though, of somebody overtaking you, now it's politics. This is why I got a problem with not just him, other people that have they always got to go to the politic or the excuse pile, when in reality it's like maybe the other guy was just better than you that day.
Yeah, well, I mean, honestly, I did want to touch on the Masters in general because it didn't have the best lineup. I mean, if you go back in time, we had guys.
Hey, don't be a hater, Ron. What do you mean it doesn't have the best lineup?
It didn't. I mean, look, think about the Masters Olympia began in 1994. Robbie Robinson was the first champ. Lou Ferrigno was second place to him. Vince Taylor won it 5 times. Yep. Dexter Jackson won that show. Dennis James competed in it. We used to have a lot of big names, guys that were. When Dexter won, he was still a very active open competitor and still winning open shows. It's sort of become a place where the guys who never really were very good in open, some of them have won an open show. Like Phil won one open show. Dorian Haywood never won an open show. He won a master show. What would it take?
What it's turned into, Ron, is not what it was designed for originally. It was originally designed by Weider to showcase some of the old legends coming back. It was actually really put in place for Lou Ferrigno to win. For people that like to cry politics and stuff, that show was put on a silver platter for Louis, and he ended up getting beat by Robbie Robinson. Not that Robbie was bad by any stretch, but you easily could have given it to Lou. Nobody would have batted an eye. But, you talk about lack of politics. I mean, come on, he could have done that all day long. But, here's an interesting spin, Ron, you'll appreciate. I just thought of this the other day, but you know who blew it big time, in my opinion?
Who? So
we're debating whether Phil or Dorian should have won the Masters, and that whole thing. And, again, we see the lineup, and you and I agree it was not the most stellar lineup. I know people want to give me shit about that too, but listen, people, when I say there was no superstars, well, in our context of superstars, no, there wasn't a Dexter Jackson, there wasn't a Brandon Curry or a William Bonek, or people that were eligible. But you know who was eligible though, Ron, that didn't go in, and I think probably made a big mistake on that, is Sergio.
Yes, he is over 40 now.
Bro,
he
think about this, right? So
won
here's Sergio. We just saw him, right? Comes up fourth in this Italy show. Now I heard he's not doing Germany, but that's a separate issue. But the other day a light bulb went off. I went, oh my God, like why didn't Sergio, with all due respect to the the president that were there, would have wiped the floor with these guys without even a question. I mean, he's miles ahead of both these guys and anybody else that was in that lineup. But he's over 40. Listen, the chance of him winning the Olympia is obviously ebbing out these days. But, bro, he could have won himself a Masters Olympia title, put 25 grand in his pocket, would have been the easiest money he ever made, and then gone on to Italy and whatever else he wanted to do. But what a lost opportunity.
Yeah, I mean, I want to contact him. I've been remiss, but I don't know why he didn't do it. It would have been, I don't want to say easy win, but I mean, it would have been easy. I mean,
I can speculate why, and this is purely just my own speculation, but I'm going to guess if you were to ask Sergio, why didn't you consider going in the Masters? He would have said, I don't want to really be I'm not a Masters competitor, right? I'm still competing on the circuit. I don't want to be known as a Masters competitor, that type of thing. Yeah. Would be my guess. But to me, it's like, bro, you got to seize the opportunity. Listen, his father is an icon. I don't care what Sergio ever did in his career. He could never. His father was a time and a place and an icon, and you're not going to get around that. But you know what? You could have got a Masters Olympia title. So just my own too. But now I heard he's not going in Germany.
He's not on the list. And, two other guys who are very active, and they're going to be in the Mr. Olympia, who are over 40. They're both, I think Brandon Curry's 42, and I want to say William Bonek is 44. Yeah. Either one of those guys could have blown that show away. They could have come in at 85% and probably still won. That's how good they are compared to the Lions.
Well, like I said, the show was made for, we'll call them superstars, again, icon type of things. And that's just not where it's at these days. And I think that's something they kind of need to look at for the future of, okay, if you're going to do this, like in my opinion, I would, offer a few different things up for grabs. And, I can have that discussion with the powers that be down the road if you're going to continue it. The problem is it just doesn't have a big fan base, and that's unfortunate. But not all the divisions have a great fan base. That's just a fact of life.
True. I mean, we wanted, my dream Masters Olympia lineup would be all these guys that are over 40 who are excellent. Bonek, Curry, Kai Green, Jay Cutler, Phil Heath. Kai and Phil have both said, they both sort of indicated they would do it for the right amount of money, meaning they would want like $1 million just to show up. I think
so would I.
I mean, but I don't see how the promoters would get their money back on an investment like that.
Well, listen, I'm sure the promoter of this show found himself in a bit of a pickle at the end of this thing, but I'm not going to go into all that. I tell you what, just a suggestion, but if it was me calling the shots, Ron, yeah, I would award a Masters Olympia title, kind of like you award a Most Muscular award, like at the Arnold, or a Best Poser award. I would award a Masters Olympia title to whoever the athlete is that finishes the highest. That's over 45 at the Olympia.
Huh. So
and I guess it's not a separate show. It's just if we have anybody over 45, let's just say there was 3 of them, and this guy ends up taking 6th place. He's the highest. So he wins the man. We award a People's Champ. We award a Most Muscular. Why not?
What do you think about having the Masters Olympia as part of the Olympia weekend, which would have to be an Olympia 2 weeks at that point to accommodate?
Yeah, I'm not in favor of really anything. I'm not even a big fan, I got to be honest, of the amateur. Like I would take the amateur, I think, and move it to a different time frame, because it does add a lot to the cost of the Olympia. You listen, you need facilities and staffing and all that for another 2-3 days. For the amateurs. The judges are there longer. And if you're going there for the amateurs, you're there on Saturday or Sunday or Monday. The chances of those people hanging around to spend thousands more dollars that they've already spent, competing and being in Vegas and preps and all that, is very little. But It's already a big enough weekend because unlike the Arnold, and I've explained this many times to people, we are saddled with the honor of having all the divisions. Okay,
Yes.
the Arnold has half, and that's their right of Arnold, his people.
Yeah.
They can have whatever they want or not have whatever they want. The Olympia is the Olympia. We have 12 divisions. We will have 12 when the fit model, I believe, is introduced next year.
Yeah.
So we've got 12 divisions to fulfill. Now, to their credit, we've now got some point system in place, which is great because that's hopefully going to cut some of those numbers down in half. Again, not all of the divisions, but at least the big four are going to get cut because this year, and because this goes into effect next year, people, guess who's going to be on stage for hour upon hour on announcing, 450 names. So
You?
I think it's, hang on a second.
No, you do the amateur as well? Hang on.
Yeah. Okay, great. Beautiful. All right. Yeah, I'll tell Ron. Thanks.
Okay.
I'm in, Ron.
Okay. Well, I didn't know if you did the amateur as well. I haven't been to the amateur in years.
No. I don't do the amateur. Thank God. I believe Tim Wilkins does the amateur. Bro, we're going to have over 450 pros.
Oh, just in the it's 450. Oh, God. Well, that's remedied, I think, because of this point system. They will be cutting back. I estimate it's going to be about 30% fewer athletes total next year because those divisions that have so many Olympia qualifiers, classic physique, men's physique, bikini, I think wellness was in there too. So now that they're going to drastically reduce, we're not going to have 60, 70 of them on stage at once, which is, for sure, it's supposed to be the elite of the elite. 70 people in a division that's not very elite to me.
No, and it's a good start. Listen, there'll be some things we got to look at or make minor adjustments to. There's 10 systems you can put into place. But this is a good start, like I said, because it could cut it almost in half, Ron, if we're lucky. Depends on a couple of factors, how many people win multiple shows. Yeah. You've got 25 that are getting in just on points, and then you've got some people that qualify from the year before. I've never been a big fan of other than the Olympia winner themselves, I wouldn't qualify anybody else, to be quite frank. Let them get out there, let them compete. We need the superstars out there to sell tickets.
Yeah, I mean, obviously back in the day, there weren't as many divisions, but I don't remember the divisions having so many damn people. I think the biggest Olympia I recall from the past was maybe like 91 Olympia that had close to 30 guys in it. But most of the time it's between 20 and 25. Well,
keep in mind, it's when everything exploded is when we split from the IFBB elite or Raphael and his merry band of people over there. So exponentially, we took on the rest of the world. So that increased it a lot, and we've also increased as a sport. And listen, don't get me wrong. That's what you need. You need growth, right? You need more competitions. You need more opportunity. Again, we're old school. I know, Ron, we've talked about this many. I'm not a big fan of all the pro cards. I think I would at least just have winners. I think you need to win something because don't forget now with the points, technically speaking, you can go from zero to hero. You can go from amateur to the Olympia stage without ever winning a show. And I'm not a big fan of that. I think you need to have won something to earn your way to the Olympia stage.
Yeah, I mean, you do want to see winners. I mean, although the thing I did like about the point system, and I kind of wish they had kept it for the Open or included it in the Open. It's only 5 more people. It wasn't going to stuff the stage with and say you had a situation like Sasan Haradi earlier in the season where he was taking second over and over again to really good people. It wasn't like he was beaten by bums. With the point system, he probably would have had enough points to get to the Olympia that way. Instead, he didn't. He had to keep going, and he won 2 shows. So he's going to the Olympia on 2 wins. It's just there are situations where, like, let's say Nick Walker didn't qualify. He got beat by Derek at Pittsburgh. Say he went to New York Pro, and who else could have beat him? Maybe Derek went to that too and won that. So Nick gets second at 2 of those shows. He still wouldn't have been qualified for the Olympia. He would have had to keep going.
And this is why I say, and you're dead on the money, Ron. There's going to be some growing pains. I can see a few down the road, and that's a great scenario that I've also thought of, which it's like, well, who's better? The guy that took 3 second-place finishes or the guy who just had the money and the time to go take 4th and 5th all throughout the season, get enough points to get in there, but obviously by the time they even get there, they're going to be so burnt out. The other problem I can see is, again, where we'll need some adjustment is it's going to be very difficult for athletes, let's say from the halfway point back, let's just say from 16 to 25 in the points, to figure out what to do. Because it's like, well, what do? Do you rest on your laurels? Okay, I've got 30 points. Is that enough to stay, or am I going to get bumped out?
Yeah.
And the only way to get points is to compete. So it's like, well, if you're going to start preps for the Olympia on the idea that I'm going to stay in that top 20, the lower, let's just say 20th, you're around there, right?
Right.
What do? Like all of a sudden you see some people pile in front of you and you're 27th now. You don't have enough time to go into a show. You're not in shape to go into a show. So you've got, let's just say 8, 9, 10 weeks of prep involved, and now you're out. So there's going to have to be some strategy that gets used with some of those people, because there is no safe point count. You're going to take your best shot and then hope other people don't bump you out. So like I said, good system, great move from the IFBB Pro League. Probably going to need to make some adjustments as we go, but you know what? It's going to cut it down dramatically from, we may have upwards of 70 something, almost 80 people in some of those classes this year. And that's not fair. Well, here's the problem, Ron. Again, I look at it from all directions and production standpoint as well. When you've got that many people going across the state, first of all, God bless the judges, because they're sitting there glazing over as number 78, 79, 80's coming across. 2, it's not really fair to the athletes either, because we got to keep cutting down the free their individual routines, because, well, listen, you do the math. If they were 1 minute routines and you got 80 of them, that's 80 minutes plus on off plus me announcing them. You're looking at almost 100 minutes of just individual presentations. They're not even getting judged yet in comparison. So everybody's got to get cut down, and that's not fair. When you make it to the Olympia, you should be able to shine and get your 15 minutes, so to say. So again, great moves, good positive stuff going forward, but definitely be some growing pains, I think, as the next year or so we can, get these things ironed out.
I can see Matt, you keep calling him Mr. Potato Head. His name is Matt.
Mr. Potato Head.
He just posted a quote from my Meathead podcast, because I said, I love Sid's voice, Sid Farouk. I like Sid as a person, really cool guy.
Me too.
I just think Bob has a little more personality and pizzazz as an MC. And he's posting that as, I think, to make it seem as if I'm insulting Sid, which I'm not. You have 2 different styles, and
right.
You have your catchphrases and your suits and your, Sid's got that beautiful announcer voice. So I never say anything bad about Sid. But Matt, if you want to go ahead and try to twist my words, and
no, Ron, he would never do that. Ron, come on now.
You're doing it right now, Matt. You know you're doing it.
Bro, listen, this guy is a complete loser. Okay, he's not. He has no pedigree. He has no background. He's not an expert. He got a Mr. Microphone for Christmas from his mom, and he decided to call himself a podcast, guy in bodybuilding and some sort of an expert. This is the same guy who, by the way, looked right into the camera. By the way, back up out of the camera. No wonder they call you Mr. Potato Head. That's all I see is this big giant face in the camera doing these videos. It's like, bro, back up. Secondly, this is the same guy who shoved his face into that camera and begged Derek Lunsford, bro, listen, Derek, I know you're watching, man. Listen, bro, listen to me, man. Don't do the Arnold, bro. Tell me, it's a bad move. It's a bad move, man. It's bad for you. Don't just listen to me. Don't do it. Oh yeah, all he did was win the show, put $500,000 in his pocket, which is more money than Egghead's gonna make. That's made in his life, or probably ever will make it total. But this is the expert, right? This is the guy, giving the advices. So I just tune him out, bro. He's not even worth. How's your petition going, by the way, Mr. Potato Head? Good.
Is it an egg or a potato? You got to make up your mind, Bob. We need consistency.
I like Egghead is good.
Okay.
But I didn't start Mr. Potato Head. The fans did, which is funny, because when you go on his stuff, half his own fans don't even like him. Or people, I shouldn't call them fans, watching his stuff are very adamant that he's making a fool of himself on a constant level, and then bringing other losers in of like kind. They're all got screwed. They all cry conspiracy. They all, like I say, same, island of misfit toys is the best description I've heard.
Bob, someone is attacking your body fat levels. Who was it? Bodybuilding Cast? Bodybuilding News Network. Is that Josh? I think your name's Josh.
Where is Where's this notion that I'm some big fat bastard come from? Like,
Yeah.
what?
How fat are you? I'm just curious.
Listen, actually, I'm knocking on the door into the 250s here, bro. I've been leaning it up, but listen, the faces. I'll be handsome for the Olympia, but Ron, you've known me for again our entire careers in this game. Listen, I'm not a small person just by nature. I lift consistently because I've got about $250,000 worth of Panada equipment in my home gym. So, but to say I'm fat is kind of funny, but that's bodybuilding, right? But by the way, this is the tolerant left here, bro, who get on me for saying something negative about somebody, but then turn around and rip on me for my appearance, my voice. They want me fired, and it's the hypocrisy is at its finest here.
Are you 61, 62 years old now, Bob?
No, I'm not even 60, bro. I'm the baby of the group. So Sean Ray just turned 60 the other day.
Yeah.
Flex, the rest of these, they're all 60, bro. But I got till December 1st.
Okay, so you're not even 60. All right, I was trying to give you credit and say you were 60, but still, I mean, people looking at a guy who's 59 years old, who was competing from age, 13?
Yeah.
13 until, how old were you when you did your last show? You were in your 40s.
40. I won oddly enough, I won the Masters World Championship, which was the Masters Olympia at that time, and hung them up. That's me at 15 right there. What's that, 1981? Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it says 15 years. Yeah, so, 15. I mean, this is the only sport I know where people will look at a guy who's been retired for 20, 30 years or more and say, he doesn't look that great anymore. By
the way, I'll invite any of these guys these days to put themselves where I am right there, standing next to Marcus Rule, kicking his ass, I might admit, right there in that picture. That was the night of the fame, night of the champions, 2002, bro. But, bro, that's Beauty and the Beast right there. How do I not win this show?
That was the one where Rule was just on fire. He was a tank.
Bro, politics, man. Politics.
I'm just saying. I mean, no one expects these guys commentating in the booth on ESPN, the football games, who retired from, they haven't played for 20 or 30 years. No one would expect them to get back on the field with these guys and run around and play. But people seem to think that pro bodybuilders should try to maintain that physique until the day they die. And let's put it in perspective. If you were to keep doing all the juice and eating all the food and doing everything it takes, you're not going to make it to 70, 80 years old. There's no way.
Yeah. I heard a real good quote the other day on one of the things I was flipping down, but it says, have you ever seen any 80-year-old 300-pounders? And you know what? And when you think about that, you go, you know what? Listen, people, I ain't trying to be 200. My body naturally, for whatever reason, wants to be about 270, to 275. It's just, I've been lifting weights since I was a kid. I had good receptors. I eat clean 5 or 6 days of the week. It's chicken and rice. It's egg whites in the morning. It's the usual Icon meals. Big shout out to them. Yeah. I have to cardio and all that jazz. I am trying to get down to I'd like to be about 240. I think that would be a good weight for me. Better on the joints, better on everything. But the difference, Ron, is we've been where they are, but they haven't been where we are. And that's a big difference. In your 20s, you should be training like an animal to get bigger and all that jazz. In your 30s, you should be perfecting your physique. When you get into your 40s, it should all be about preservation. Okay, you should be preserving your joints. Your training needs to change. Even if you're a competitive bodybuilder at the highest level, at that point, and Ron, both of us know numerous guys like the Dorian Yates type thing where they injured themselves out. Ronnie at the end was getting injured and all that. What got you there is not what has to keep you there. Maintaining a world-class physique is easier than building a world-class physique. But word to the wise people, 59 years old, I'll put myself up against anybody. If you want to compare some picks, let's go.
Yeah, I mean, someone just said, oh, God, he's going so fast. I appreciate you guys all being on the chat, by the way. But, yeah, Matt saw that I was doing this podcast with you, and that's when he just put out that clip of me saying, Bob, trying to make it look like I was throwing Sid under the bus. I like Sid a lot. I would never do that. When I say prefer, I can have a preference or opinion in physiques, MCs, with anything. everyone, you all got an asshole, right? You all got an opinion too.
That's it.
And you're all entitled to have your own asshole and your own opinion. So,
well, most of them just are assholes, Ron. But the funny thing, me and Sid are good friends. Actually, it's funny because they all think we're enemies. It's like, look, I'm not enemies with them. David Bay, who took over my spot at the Arnold, I have put in not that position, but I have given David Bay jobs for years because we're good friends. I've given Tim Wilkins jobs. I've recommended Shannon Day for jobs. Listen, we all have our own unique blend. Okay, obviously somebody likes what I do. I've been doing it for many, many years now. But listen, Sid has a tremendous voice, and you're right. Listen, Sid's an announcer. Okay, I'm an MC. There's actually a slight little difference there, and Sid does a great job. But what we do is two different worlds. Just like Lonnie Teeper, who wasn't the most boisterous type of an MC. He had a particular style, and that was fine for him. But that's what he does and what I do and what Sid. They're very different in their approach. As announcing goes, Sid's one of the best I've ever heard, man. He's great.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm listening to a TV commercial or a movie preview whenever he talks. Mad Rapper, why am I a fraud? Why am I a fraud? Did I say I would never talk to Bob Chick again or something?
Who's that?
I don't know. The Mad Rapper.
What's he want to know?
He says I'm a fraud because I have you. I guess because I'm interviewing you. I don't know.
You're a fraud?
Apparently. I'm just curious. I'd like a further elaboration on that.
Okay. I mean,
I'm just curious. Yeah.
Bring those questions in, people. Here, this is your golden opportunity. You got something to ask? Go ahead. We got you. What's that list right there?
I just want to. This is the 1991 NPC Nationals. So there was I just want people to see how hard it took Bob years to turn pro, but I want people to see what the amateurs used to look like in terms of the quality. This was one class at the Nationals, 1991. Kevin Leveroni won, Flex Wheeler second, the late Paul Quadzilla DeMeo third, a guy named Ronnie Coleman who would go on to win the Olympia 8 times fourth, fifth place Matt Mendenhall, who was probably on 200 magazine covers in the 80s. Bob Cicherillo was sixth. Chris Cormier, who did okay for himself, was seventh. Edgar Fletcher, Dean Caputo. So, I mean, yeah, it was. I don't even know why I put that up there. I just want people to know the caliber of people that you had to go up against when you were competing. It was not a bunch of slouches.
Well, listen, I don't think there's anybody today that knows bodybuilding, and that's part of the problem today. Is I've seen podcasters just in the last, I don't know what it is, the last year in particular, but everybody and their mother thinks they're a bodybuilding expert. And the funny thing is, they just don't know physiques. I just saw, I don't want to get away from this because I want to comment on the 91, but I was watching, somebody was doing some play-by-play. I don't know who it was. I was just listening to it and I watching it as I was scrolling. And they were doing the play-by-play on Italy. And out comes Quentin. Now, I'm a tremendous Quentin fan. I think he's great. 2 years ago, unfortunately, I predicted him to maybe do an upset victory, but he showed up not at his best. And then he took it the next year, and we saw the real Quentin this year. Good for him. But he comes out around, he's doing his routine, and this guy's going nuts. Man, look at Quentin. He's great. Holy, he's shredded. He does this. He's ripped. He's going to win the show. And I'm watching this thinking to myself, he's flat. Like, I'm not seeing what this guy's saying. I mean, he's in shape, and he's got some lines in his legs, but his whole upper body, chest through his shoulders, there's nothing going on. He's flat, right? And I'm going, he's not going to win. But the difference of what I'm looking at versus what that guy was looking at is two different animals. And this is why I say, bringing it back to the 91 Nationals, when I say something like, you couldn't even have turned pro in my day, or this guy would have had a difficult time even getting a pro card back in my day. Listen, we're not the old Muppet guys in the theater. Forget all that stuff, guys. Okay, we know. All right. So, well, when I said to Nick, like, look, you wouldn't even have turned pro in my day. That wasn't so much as a put down rather than a fact. If anybody wants to take, we'll just use Nick because he was the subject. The pictures of him when he turned pro at the North American or whatever it was.
Yeah.
Go back into my day and take that picture and put it next to, I don't know, Chris Cormier, Flex Wheeler, Ronnie Coleman, Mike Francois, Dennis Newman. I mean, I can just, I listen, it was a very, very difficult time. There was no super heavyweights. Okay. It was just heavyweights. And we were all bunched in there. Bro, even Edgar Fletcher, he was what, an 8th or 9th in it? Edgar Fletcher, this guy couldn't even turn pro. Mendenhall. These guys were tremendous. And they couldn't even get a pro card. That's the difference between yesterday and today. But you know what, people? That's just the way it is. I mean, there's, it is what it is.
Yeah, I'm just showing Nick here. People want to know where you have him, if you think he's going to be better, because he is. If you see his updates, he's looking enormous lately.
So
where do you have
the deal with Nick? And listen, Nick's made great improvement. Again, everybody negates anything good I ever say about Nick, okay? Listen, He's not my cup of tea when it comes to physiques. I definitely favor a Samson Dauda, who everybody knows I'm very much in support of. A Clinton Beastwood, again, same type. I like the bigger Regan Grimes. Andrew Jaft, I think, is tremendous. That's my style of what I like as a Mr. Olympia. Now, that said, Nick has made tremendous improvements. There's only so much he can do. Your shape is your shape, okay? You can only change it so much. And unfortunately, proportions you can never change. So where do I have Nick? Well, some of it depends on whether Hadi and Beirus are actually in the show, because that's two guys I would have in the top 5. Let's assume everybody gets in, okay? Everybody's in, and everybody's 100%, which is never going to happen around, but let's just go with it, okay? Nick is not going to beat, in my opinion, everybody can chalk this up, Samson, Hadi, or Derek. And people say, well, he almost beat Derek in Pittsburgh. It's like, well, and Martin Fitzwater almost beat Nick in New York. So that doesn't really mean anything. He almost, the best Nick I've ever seen in Pittsburgh didn't beat a Derek Lunsford who was at 90%. So you got that going, okay? To coin Nick's phrase after Martin almost beat him in New York, if he couldn't beat me at my worst, what makes him think he can beat me at my best? Okay, that's 3 guys right there. That puts Nick in 4th. Can he do 4th? Yes. He can place as high as 4th. However, he's got to get past Martin Fitzwater, who, by the way, on a side note, Ron, I think if Martin showed up in Pittsburgh like he did at the Olympia, he'd have beat both of those guys in one. Martin Fitzwater, Andrew Jack, and Beirus Tabani. That's your next 3. Listen, they're all good bodybuilders, man. These guys are good. They all have better shape and proportion than Nick does. Nick has more muscle and is very consistent with his condition. This guy is one of the most consistent guys that we got in the pro. So you can guarantee, assuming he makes it to the stage this year, and which we'd all love to see, he's going to be fighting for those spots. He can go as high as 4th. He can go as low as 6th or 7th. You don't have Hunter in there this year. You got Netzilla, who's a true freak. We don't know where he's going to end up. We haven't even mentioned, Brandon Curry. You got William Bonac, who's still bringing it. Who else we got in there, Ron? Who am I forgetting?
Well, as far as people could possibly beat Nick, I think you've got them covered.
Yeah.
There are other guys who are very, very strong top 10 guys. Akeem Williams, Tony O'Burton, Brett Wilkins, pretty good. I mean, we got guys, but I mean, I could see Nick pulling an upset and being as high as 2nd. I just don't see him beating. I don't see anybody beating Samson unless Samson comes in super flat, or he'd have to be off to get beat because he's looking so good right now.
Well, I don't think Nick's ever beaten those other guys. He did beat Samson a couple of years ago, but that was before Samson became Samson.
Right.
So the other guys, I don't think he's beaten, unless I'm mistaken in that. I don't think he's ever beaten Hadi, and I don't think he's ever beaten Derek. So he's got his work cut out. Again, listen, I hope everybody shows up at 100%. That would be awesome. And could he place as high as 4th? In my opinion, yes, he could. But he's going to need some help. Nick's like a Branch Warren type of a guy where he wasn't blessed with the best genetics, but he outworks everybody. He comes in dice condition, and he's got a lot of muscle, and it's still a muscle show at the end of the day. But Branch, like a Nick, like those type of physiques, they need help. They need help from the other guys in terms of that guy's got to come in at 90%. That guy's got to miss the mark a little bit. That guy's got to soften up a little bit as he's posing, because Nick is not going to fade away. He's never done that on stage. If anything, he gets better as he goes. So it's rounding up to be a great Olympia, that's for sure.
Yeah, and I mean, I think that should be the focus. Hopefully that's all we're going to be talking about, because we only have, is it 4 weeks now? Is it that quickly coming up?
Bro, we're at 4 weeks. I actually get back from this trip, and I'm packing shiny suits for the Olympia, man. Like, that's it.
So yeah, I mean, drama and stuff and negativity, I know it gets the clicks, it gets the views, but I want to focus on the Olympia moving forward this next month. It's going to be an amazing Olympia. Hey, Bob Cicherillo, greetings from Germany. Okay.
Yeah, they spell it weird like that. Like I told you, bro, I'm Hasselhoff over there. It's crazy.
Cicherillo. Wow.
Yeah, they got, Germans got weird humor. So that, by the way, that's all due to my buddy Marcus Rule. He's the one who started that whole phase. But bro, I couldn't even walk around at FIBO. I had to have full security because I couldn't get from I went to Marcus's booth, and we had almost 2,000 people that were in line wanting to get pictures of me and Marcus at the same time. And like I say, it's all Marcus, man. I mean, we're good friends, and we have been for many years. But I still think I was prettier than he was at that show, no question.
Well, yeah, you were. I mean, you were in a lot of movies, and you got a lot of magazine covers for a reason. You were, not to say that you're not a good-looking guy now, but in your youth, you were a very good-looking guy. I mean,
in my youth, man. Now I'm a big fat fucker. Look at this, Ron. Look at.
Yeah, you fat bastard. Anyway, you've been very generous with your time. I know you got to pack and get off to Europe again. So, Bob, I want to thank you, and guys, appreciate y'all being here. If you're catching this on a replay, drop your comments below. I can't promise you Bob will respond, but I will read them all and respond to them all.
I got some, bro. Listen, I will absolutely get on there as we fear nothing. By the way, congratulations to you, Ron, on your new venture here, your new podcast. Glad to see you got away from the dark side. To be honest with you, bro, you didn't really fit in over there. You were definitely the black sheep of that crew. So good for you, bro. Get out there and speak your piece.
I mean, I've said nothing bad about Matt, but he has made several posts, trying to portray me, calling me out for flip-flopping or whatever the case may be. I have never come after you, Matt. I don't know why you feel necessary to come after me. I've said nothing bad about you or your podcast, but if you want to do that, I'm not going to say, you're to keep my name out of your mouth. That's not me. I'm Mr. Nice Guy, unfortunately, but I'm not going to play that game and go back and forth with you for views and clicks. It's not bad.
Listen, Ron, we've both been around long enough to know that's what people who are mentally inferior do. They can't debate. They can't go toe-to-toe. They can't rest on their laurels. They don't have any. They don't have any background. Again, no pedigree. So they always resort to like street stuff, right? Like they start calling you. That's when you're truly losing the arguments, when you start calling people names. Now, we're not talking about Mr. Potato Head. We're just saying that good fun. And again, I didn't give you that name. Your fans did. But they can't debate a topic. They just can't do it. So, they start, again, getting nasty, calling, threatening you. I know Phil Clahar, he likes to call people cowards and stuff and all this. It's like, cowards? Like, what are you even talking about? First of all, I'm almost 60 years old. What do you mean cowards? Oh, I saw him in Tampa. He didn't even say it. I never even saw him in Tampa. I had no clue he was even there. But if you saw me, why didn't you come up? Why didn't you say, hey, man, I want to talk to you for a few minutes? Or, hey, let's go over here and hash this out like real men. That's what they do. I never got nothing. So we're the coward for speaking the truth, or, we're the coward for not backing down of our opinions. Come on, man. But this is what I expect from these people, though, Ron. I mean, it's not shocking.
Yeah. Anyway, well, let's wrap it up. Bob, I want to thank you so very much. One of these days, I'm going to get you on the Meathead podcast when you have time. We do it every Wednesday night at 7. You're still on Eastern time, right?
Yeah, when I'm here. I'm more than happy, bro. What's the Meathead? Is that just more nuts and bolts, or like what are we doing on that one?
It's just a panel. It's just like Muscle Discord or Bro Chat or Think Big. It's the one with the 4 or 5 guys on at the same time. Which it took me this long.
I'm at any time, brother. Anytime.
Appreciate it. All right, guys. So drop your comments below. Good, bad, ugly, whatever it is, we can take it. And thank you, Bob Cicherillo, the Voice of Bodybuilding. Have an excellent trip over in Europe.
Yep.
And looking forward to seeing you MC the Olympia once again. All right. Thanks for watching, everybody. We'll see you later.